All
on.
right, guys. So I have Reagan here who has done or has used Rover, the gig app, to try to make money. So, Reagan, if you want to just give like a brief introduction, that would be great.
Hey everyone, I'm Reagan, and I decided to do Rover when I was in college and I needed extra money. So that's kind of how I got into it. And for a little bit there, I was making about $400 or more a month.
So, I want to know like how much you earned. Wait, sorry. Did you do dog walking or dog sitting or both?
I did, I've done dog walking, I've done dog like check-ins, like sitting. I haven't ever like done overnights or anything, but I've done like check-ins. I've also done boarding.
Okay.
I've done almost all of them.
Oh, that's cool. So, during your first week of doing everything, do you know how much you earned?
The first week, it wasn't a whole lot because with Rover, you kind of have to make your rates kind of competitive with people in your area. So I think I started off making like probably like $12 for like a walk. And the first week, I got a client that I walked their dog 3 times a week for like an hour. And so it wasn't like a lot of money starting out. It was probably like basic, like $10 an hour. But
Yeah.
after a while, you start raising your rates because you get a lot of good reviews and stuff. So it starts off slow, and you got to be competitive to get those clients. You can't just like go on there and make your prices that like your price is the highest, because you're not going to get any clients, because people want
Yeah.
people that have good reviews and that have done a lot of stays and stuff. So
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's kind of like, is it similar to TaskRabbit where you have to kind of build up your like reputation on that
yeah,
and stuff,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
What was your best day? Like, what was the most you had made in a single day?
Probably like $100 and a bunch of random objects. I kind of built like kind of a relationship with some of my clients. So like they would like give me random stuff, and I've had one that would get me like Christmas presents and stuff.
Oh,
And I've
that's
gotten
nice.
like, $50 bonuses. And I think now on Rover, which I've only done Rover a couple times over the past few months, you can get like tips and stuff like directly from the client. And for a little bit, they didn't have that as an option, but now I think they can tip you on there. But some of them, like for holidays and stuff, would like leave me a $20 bill. So like probably about like $100 in a day.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I like after kind of getting started, how much would you make within an hour?
It really, like I said before, it kind of just depends on the rates that you set. Starting
Yeah.
off, I would not expect to make a lot. You kind of have to, I suggested in the video that I made about this to do $1 or $2 under most people in your area, because people are more likely to get someone that obviously has had a lot of like has had a lot of clients. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to start off being competitive. So like for me, it was probably like, you know, $10 an hour, which sounds really bad today, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I probably live in a smaller town than some people. I know people in New York City or like LA can probably make a lot more in an hour walking dogs on Rover.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think so because I think in LA minimum wage is like 16.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It really depends on what your minimum wage is at that time, and then just making yourself competitive compared to the other people
Yeah.
on here starting off.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do you know of like any common mistakes that people would make starting off with Rover?
Um, I think for me it was I guess mistakes would be like not really listening to like your client and what they want, because all of them are so like particular about how you handle their dog and like treats and like what they can do, and like certain clients want their dog to sit before they go outside, like just things like that that you got to kind of continue to do for their pet or whatever, and just kind of be thoughtful. And just I'm trying to think of like a scenario that I could give an example of. I mean, honestly, probably just the biggest mistake would be making your rates too high, because it's
Yeah.
honestly it took a while for me to get my first client, but I'm also not in a huge city, so honestly that probably is like a major mistake. But with the clients themselves, I would say just listening and being really responsive is like the two biggest things, because I think it shows them your response time on there. So it's really important to be responsive, because obviously you don't want someone watching your dog that's not going to reply to you for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably that.
So I guess you can't be one of those like bad texters if you're gonna walk
Yeah,
someone's
because it
dog.
says it on there how quickly you respond to people, especially if they're like asking you, like if it's a new client and you don't respond for a long time, that's probably even worse.
Yeah, true. Do you know if you're allowed to walk more than one dog at a time?
I think that's something that it would be different for different clients, because I've definitely had someone specifically tell me to not walk a dog with their dog because their dog was very like territorial and stuff.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it really would have to do with like your client and what they're okay with, because there might be some clients that really would not give a crap if you're like in a big city or something. So I think it
Yeah,
really like
'cause I,
client
so I
by
was
client.
thinking it'd be good if like you had two different dogs to walk at the same time and you make double the amount of money in the same amount of time.
That absolutely. And that's why a lot of the times I was like way more likely to pick up someone that has 2 or 3 dogs compared to just someone that had one. I had someone that I checked in on 2 dogs like 5 times a week. So that's like double the pay. That's when I was making like over $400 a month. Like that was like almost paying my rent here.
Oh,
A
that's
big chunk
awesome.
of it, or some fun weekend money for sure. So that I
Yeah.
would highly recommend if you can to get a client that has multiple pets for sure.
Do you think that like any sitters or walkers would end up quitting? Like, what would be any reasons someone would quit, or like, what are things you dislike about the app?
For me, it was it's different than like Uber Eats. Like I've done a lot of different apps like this, like I'm tried different things out. It's just different because it's not something you can just like turn on and go walk a dog whenever you want money. It's not like, Walmart Spark Delivery, which I've really been enjoying doing lately. It's not like
Okay.
those kind of apps. It's kind of something for someone that has kind of a set schedule. Because I was going, when I was in college, I was like going during my lunchtime, going and walking a dog for an hour during lunch or like after class or whatever. So it's like someone that's kind of already in a routine of some sort, and that's ideal. For me, or you quit Rover because you get a full time job. But
Yeah.
also, the only time that I've ever like quit for a client was when their dog bit me. So it's like, you know, there could like that could happen, and luckily like there is like Rover support and stuff, but that's just a time that I was like, hey, I can't watch your dog because they're a little bit too aggressive. Like you know you got to be to a certain degree, you absolutely have to be kind of picky. And once you kind of get further along with Rover and you have like repeat clients, that's when it allowed me to be pickier with people. Like there's there's certain dogs that I would be a lot more likely to say yes to board than like
Yeah.
other ones that I boarded before. But that's because I kind of grew my clientele and I could start being picky and like raise my rates and all that kind of thing. So hopefully that kind of answered that question.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you were doing this like part-time, right?
Yep, I was definitely doing it part time. I still would do it like part time, like especially now that I have a full time job. Like if there's a random one that comes up or an old client that comes back around that wants me to do something, that's when I'll do it if I have free time. But yeah, I was doing
Okay.
it part time as a college kid, so that was like my little side gig.
You know if there's any scams people should look out for? I know like there's like some Uber scams and like other like gig app scams. I don't know if Rover has any that people should look out for.
I I haven't had any too bad. I've had it. there's only been one time that I had like a potential client that was being like a little strange. Like I told them that a certain time. It was just like it was kind of like I just felt like uncomfortable and like it was just strange that they were like kind of they were just really wanting me to come over and do the meet and greet and they were like super like overly wanting me to come and like
Oh,
flexible. It was just kind of creepy.
yeah.
And so it's like I would, but it's like I'm sure as like a woman, like when when it's like if it's starting to make you uncomfortable or you question it, just don't put yourself in that situation. And if you're going to go to someone's house, make sure that somebody knows where you're going. So
Yeah.
I think that is really important for like safety because obviously some of these like things that you do, like if you're doing like a house check-in, you are going into someone's house. So that's why it is good to do like a meet and greet outside and like first and make sure you're not like creeped out or like you don't get any weird vibes and stuff and make sure that someone always knows where you are when you're walking the dog
Yeah.
checking in. I think that's really important. But I haven't
Yeah,
had that
true.
was about the only time that I've ever like had someone that might have been like a scam or creepy or whatever. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know how someone would like scam with Rover.
Yeah, I know. I
So,
was trying to think. I haven't I've just had like I mean you might just have like a creepy person, but it could just be me being paranoid. But if I feel even slightest bit creeped out, I'm just not gonna do it. So
yeah.
it's just like not worth it.
Yeah. So do you have any like just like basic tips for new people that want to start like dog sitting or dog walking?
Yeah. I definitely one of the major things I definitely think is like having a good profile because like everyone that is on Rover that wants you to watch their dog is probably like a dog lover and really does care about their dog and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important for your profile picture to not be like a selfie, like a Snapchat selfie, like that. It's like you're building like a clientele. You want to be like somewhat professional with these people especially in the beginning and like just like a Snapchat selfie isn't really that professional and just having like a good profile to show that like you are passionate about pets and that you've had experience with pets and maybe you have your own pets so you tell them about your own pets. That's kind of what I did. I mentioned that I was a college student. I think if you're a college student, milk it because people like college students and they like feeling like they're helping college students, so
Yeah.
put that in your profile. And just honestly just the competitive rates you can't go on there and make yourself $5 more expensive than somebody else. And then also just having your friends and family write reviews because they can write reviews too, it just won't be a verified stay. So the people that write you reviews, like your clients and stuff, it will say like by the review verified stay, so people will know like this is someone that you went through Rover with versus some of the other comments are just like you had friends or family write for you. So
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't even know that you could do that. That's pretty nice.
I know, and I've kind of been a little bit out of like the whole Rover thing for a little bit, but I mean that's how it was when I was there, and I think now they're a little bit more pushy because I think at first they didn't really even ask your clients to leave a review, but I think they do now because pretty much all the recent ones I've had have left reviews. So that's really nice that they're kind of like asking them to do that. So I don't feel like I have to because that really helps like somebody that's trying to build a clientele. And then
Yeah.
also they have the tip option now, which is really nice with how everything's been. So
That's like pretty much all the questions I have. Do you have any like final thoughts or anything you still want to share?
yeah, I mean, I think Rover is a really great option for someone that kind of has a routine or likes to have a set schedule. Obviously, someone that's really passionate about like pets, dogs, or cats, or whatever. I have done a few cats. Um, yeah, and I wouldn't. Rover's not the type of app that like I would like count on to like pay my rent necessarily. This is like something that you would do maybe to save up for vacation money, or if you're like in college and you need extra spending money to go out on the weekends or to save up for something. Like this is like definitely like a side hustle that I personally wouldn't like depend on to like pay my rent or something like you could with maybe some of the other apps out there. but it's definitely like a good option of making extra money and having kind of a set schedule. And I really liked getting exercise and getting paid. So that's a lot of the reason I did it. Because I like walking. So I might as well get paid doing
True, yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have all of Reagan's links down below in the description.
it. Yeah, thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me. I enjoyed it.